There's articles that are of some interest. I've been waiting for this for a while. One of the problems with renewable energy, like wind energy and solar, is it makes a lot of energy, but only at a certain time. And then later on, when the wind doesn't blow or at night, you don't have the energy, so you have to store it. And currently they're storing it in batteries, but batteries are expensive and polluting, and they fade. The power fades, so it's a lot better is to just store it in mechanical energy by lifting a rock or by lifting water. And the latest plan is to put it in abandoned mines. Mines have rails and they have connections to the power grid, and they're just sitting there. So you could just have lifting something up a slope in the mine and then have it fall down and power a turbine and generate power later, and it wouldn't lose any of the energy while waiting. So they got plans to make shafts like this with turbines, and we'll see if that works. But they supposedly the economics of it are very desirable. The cheapest way to store a lot of power.
I heard some company try to compress air into the mine and
Yes.
put it on top of that ground.
Yes, I've heard of that one, compressing air in the mine, also just picking a big rock, moving water. There's many different ways to do it. This is just another proposal, but the special thing about it is we have these mines all over the place already. So a lot of the infrastructure is available for cheap. That's the idea anyway. So there's a famous hacker named Leslie Carhart, and she uses the Twitter handle Hacks Your Pancakes, and now the Mastodon handle, and she has this con that's always free and interesting, and students might want to attend. Fourth one's coming up. I'll put it on my page on March 19. Any of these training events are worth extra credit if you go to them. This particular con, the special thing is about it is everybody has to talk on two topics, one technical topic and one sort of lifestyle topic. This is what's prevented me from ever applying, because I'd have to have a life and I don't have one. I got nothing to say except technical things. So I don't qualify for this group of people. But anyway, people say it's a lot of fun, and you might want to think of going. And so Zero Trust, boy, I was talking about this just yesterday in class. Until 2002, Microsoft said that the way to make a secure network is to have one gateway to the internet and filter the traffic there and stop malicious traffic from the internet. And then inside your corporate network, you'll have computers mounted on the desks like this, and those can all be trusted to be clean. And you don't need any further defenses inside the network. Now, in 2002, Microsoft had to give up that idea. And now, nobody would even think of doing that because people are bringing in private laptops and thumb drives and smartphones, and there's no such thing as a perimeter, and there's no alien stuff coming inside your perimeter. There's all kinds of stuff wandering into your perimeter. On top of that, the workers are at home, they're on the go, they're connecting to wireless networks and airplanes, so you don't really have much of a perimeter anywhere to decide what's inside and outside. So what the federal government now recommends is we all need to move to zero trust. Every device, when it gets a request from another device, it should not trust it. It should evaluate to see if that request looks suspicious. Everywhere in your whole network. This is a plan. Now, nobody has ever achieved this yet, I think. However, Gartner, which is in the business of predicting future trends so people can decide how to invest, they are prediction people that do a lot of this. They say 10% of enterprises will have zero trust by 2026. They define zero trust a little more widely than what I did. They define it as a security paradigm that explicitly identifies users and devices and grants them just the right amount of access. So anyway, this is the way the future is coming, and we're all headed in that direction, but nobody's figured out how to do it yet. And you can't buy anything that will turn it on for your company yet. It is less than 1% of companies have even this much zero trust today. But that's where we're all going. What we have is something in a neighborhood like the college has many VLANs. The network is divided into many segments, and there's traffic filtering between the segments, and that's a step in the right direction. And that's what companies do. You gradually move towards no longer having one security boundary in a trusted and untrusted zone, but just a lot of boundaries and tests on the edges of traffic going through, and network security monitoring to watch what traffic looks suspicious, and an incident response team to respond to the threats that get through. That's the modern solution. Nobody can keep the bad guys out entirely, so you have detection and response for the bad guys to get in, and you try to hold their damage down to an acceptable level. So this, I was very interested to read. So you probably heard of ChatGPT. ChatGPT is the AI where you can just ask it a question. It will write. You can ask it to write a newspaper article about something. You can ask it to explain a scientific concept. You can ask it to write a fiction story. You can ask it to do anything. And what it will do is it's been trained on all the internet data up through 2021. So it will make something that looks about right, like mixing together 10 Google pages it found, basically. The problem is it doesn't know what it's doing. So it makes something that looks good. When you take a careful look, it isn't that good. For example, if it makes a research paper, it will just make up the references. So they sound good, but they often are not real. However, it's a very early version. It's free right now, and so people are using it for a lot of purposes, and in particular, a lot of teachers are freaking out because you could totally ask it to answer your quiz questions, to write your term papers for you and everything, and it would really write a pretty good term paper, about as good as maybe an average C student. And so that's one issue, but I see A. Corinne says she tried it this morning, but content was not logically consistent. That could happen. I know sometimes it's very good, sometimes it's not. I wanted to check it out this morning and see whether I should send students to it, and they said they were out of capacity. No, she said, felt like fifth grader responses. Yeah, I know the technical support columns like Stack Exchange, where you ask technical questions, have banned it, saying people that get answers from this thing, they're so inaccurate that they have to waste a lot of time correcting them. So anyway, what this guy did was there was a malware analysis class being taught for a whole week, and they used ChatGPT in classroom, and he said it was enormously helpful. People could ask technical questions of ChatGPT, and they didn't have to interrupt the class to ask the teacher. So people that didn't understand their term could get a good explanation of their term and so on. And they say it really is the future of education, and every student should just have it open all the time and use it to answer questions. So we'll see. He's probably right, that it could really benefit education if everybody just started using this as a supplement. Anyway, it's interesting to read his description of it. And of course, we can expect it to get a lot better. And Google is very, very concerned. This thing is Google apparently has a similar product already developed, but they haven't released it because the error rate is too high. But now that ChatGPT is getting all this buzz and investment, Google's afraid they're going to compete with Google. So Google has brought back their founders to figure out how to make Google AI really fast and get it out there. Because the thing about Google, of course, is if you search for something, it just gives you some links. Then you have to click and read those links. This thing would automatically do that. It will search, read the links, figure out the answer, and write the answer for you. And that is a much better user experience. So there's going to be competing products soon. But this is the future of search. And some good for it already. So it would work if you can fine-tune it on specific data, which is what companies would be doing with it. Yes, that could be. Yeah. Anyway, another thing is all the layoffs. You probably heard everybody is laying everybody off. Elon Musk started it by laying off more than 50% of all the workers at Twitter, and Twitter survived. Parts of it were broken, but it mostly survived. And then everybody in Silicon Valley was thrilled, all the CEOs. This means we can save a lot of money. We can lay off 20, 30% of our staff and it'll be fine. And they're all doing it. Everybody is. And yet I heard a few people say, you really shouldn't be laying people off and this doesn't make any sense. And I said, how can that be? So I read there's a Harvard Business Review article and there's a Stanford Business Review article explaining why. And it really makes sense when I read it. They say, if you do lay off like 5 or 10% of your staff because the economy has gone down, then what you do is, in the first place, you don't even save any money because you have to pay all their severance pay and stuff. So you don't really save any money over the next 4 months because you pay it on. Then you have, you often have to hire some of them back, and you destroy the morale of your people. All your people know that they're just trash to be discarded at a whim's notice now, so they have low morale. And your investors don't actually make more money, and it hurts your company's competitive position and so on. They say what you really ought to do is what companies did when I was young. When I was young, we didn't keep jumping from company to company every 2 years like everybody does now. You would join a company, and it was like joining a family. You were just in. Now, if bad things happen, they might cut your pay. They might cancel your project and move you to another project, but you wouldn't just be out on the street with no job. And you could trust them. As long as you don't do something terrible, they would take care of you. You would have a job. As long as you do good work, they would move you around. They said, this is actually much better. And I know there are examples like that, like DriveSavers. DriveSavers is the #1 company to recover data on damaged hard drives and or lost data on a machine. And they are the world's experts at it. They have the very satisfied staff that has worked there for 25 years. Their staff goes to constant training events to learn the groundbreaking techniques in this. And they hold on to people. And the people like it and their customers like it. You know, that's another business model. So anyway, it's very interesting. This was the old business model before the modern model where people are just replaceable components like light bulbs and you pretend that their humanity means nothing. This is not the way it used to be. When I was a kid, you'd join a company like IBM or Kodak and you were in. You were in until you decided to leave. Or, you know, you wouldn't just be laid off casually like they do now. Anyway, all right, that's enough of the news. Let me get to the official class stuff.